Welcome everyone, Farmer Cop here. There has been some more information released about the new American map coming to Farming Simulator 25 called Riverbend Springs. This is in addition to what we learned at FarmCon. Some of these screenshots are very similar, and some of them are going to provide some new stuff. And I think we actually get a sneak peek at some new features, even though they're not mentioned, and I'll kind of talk about that as we go. I will link down below in the description, if I remember to, the blog post, but otherwise it'll be on the Giants website. And I'm going to show some screenshots that they've released on your screen. You'll see some right now as I'm going through this, and then I'll talk about all of them as we kind of go through at the very end of this video. Well, at least after I read the blog post. But let's get into it. It says, are you ready to build a new farm in Riverbend Springs? After we first presented this new map for Farming Simulator 25 at this year's FarmCon, here's another preview with brand new impressions. Remember, Farming Simulator 25 releases November 12th. Pre-order to get the Macdon pack or go for the Collector's Edition, including a USB ignition lock to start your in-game tractors. You know you want it. It goes great with the beacon light, which is awesome. And there's some other stuff. It's actually cut off on the blog post that I have, but I can kind of read it a little bit, and I can tell it's nothing that's new information, really. But anyhow, quick note on pre-orders. If you want to pre-order the game, you can use code FarmerCop at checkout or use the link down below in the description. Or you can go online and you can pre-order it using any code, really. There's plenty of other great creators out there, so choose your favorite, and it doesn't have to be me, and support that creator. Use the Giants version of the game just to be able to support them. If you're on PC, if you're on console, you're kind of out of luck on that. But in addition to that, the pre-orders for the Collector's Edition are out, and if you still want to support the channel, you can pre-order the Collector's Edition from a different retailer, and then you can pre-order using my code. You can get for that, you can get the year one season pass for Farming Simulator 25. You still want to support the channel, so you can still support the channel even if you do that. But let's keep going. It says celebrating water. You don't have to ask where the name comes from when you look at the map of Riverbend Springs. A huge winding river, lots of water, and many little creeks and streams in between. A ferry too. If you're wondering how to get across the river, crossing it with a ferry fit for your machine is an option. Then a quote, it's all about water and we wanted to celebrate that, commented senior level designer Florian Boos at FarmCon. That's why you'll find piers, jetties, houseboats, restaurants floating on the river, and many more elements in Riverbend Springs to go along with the theme of the map. Perfect fit for adding rice and water physics, right? Makes sense to me. Then we get some more screenshots. Then it goes down to the bottom and says, history of lands and farms. In Riverbend Springs, you'll come across some historic buildings and other elements of times gone by. The old grain elevator, a paper mill at the river, or brick buildings, how they were built 100 years ago, for example. Then we have some more screenshots. Then it says places to visit. There are many nice spots in Riverbend Springs you might want to visit. Who knows what? Or who you'll get to see when exploring. And that's kind of a hint to NPCs coming. NPCs are coming to the game. We have that confirmed. There are construction sites. We also know you can buy stuff, or you can build stuff over time by providing materials if you want to. Businesses buying your goods and more. If you're one to enjoy forests and nature, you might want to walk through the woods, which you can do on the map. Then we have some more screenshots, and then there's the pre-order things down at the bottom about it. But yes, that is what that has to say about it. Let's take a look at some screenshots. So these are in no particular order. Well, actually, they're in a particular order. It's the order that I got them. So that's why we're going to go through them. All right, everyone, quick interjection here. I am putting this in after I recorded the first part of this. Some of these screenshots, I make some predictions and stuff like that about what they are. I was wrong about some of those predictions. I will put the correct thing on there because I was not paying attention. These photos, some of them came labeled from Giants, so I will put what the label says. And just so you guys are aware, that'll come up as text on the screen. So I apologize for that, but I'm still excited about some of my predictions anyways. So the first one just kind of shows some of the forest area here. You can see how detailed the foliage is and how realistic this looks, especially with the new lighting, the God rays, and the fog in there. This looks like a very realistic environment, which is really cool. Next up, we have ourselves a stream flowing by, and we have kind of an old abandoned like barn or shed on the right-hand side, which is pretty cool to see that. So hopefully there'll be kind of some maybe discoveries and stuff to have in the forest area. And there's actually quite a large forest area, and you'll see that coming up in addition to the actual map itself. Moving on, here we see kind of a dilapidated building, which this is going to be one of the historical sites. And I think this might actually be a production chain. And I'll explain why I think that in a second here as well in a different screenshot. But you can see maybe you can bring stuff to it to repair it or do whatever you need to do. I'm not sure if that's going to be an option or if this is a specific construction site or just kind of a historical site that's there kind of preserved like this and not even a production at all. Don't know. Next, we see a different angle of that same building we just looked at. And you can see some of that stuff up there. Oh, maybe actually I wasn't talking about that one being the paper mill. Sorry, but there is a paper mill, and I'll show you that in a second. But this building, I think, is the old grain mill. I think that's what this one is, taking a look at it. And if we did think back to some of the videos we got earlier around FarmCon time, there were some trigger icons outside of this building, so I think we can use it as a production. But we might have to repair it first, which would make sense in its current state. But still cool to see that. Here's another final angle of it right there. You can see some of that stuff up there and throughout up there. But yeah, pretty cool to see all that. Moving on from there, we have the ferry. Or no, this is a barge. Sorry, not a barge, not a ferry. I don't know if you can load stuff up here or sell stuff or however that's going to work. But you can see a barge that has moved off to the left there, or getting moved around. So maybe you can move stuff or sell stuff with a barge, similar to the train physics, but with a boat. That would be pretty cool. I think that's definitely a possibility with this. If we go to the next screenshot here we have a rail yard. Now, the big thing here, and I'll zoom in on some different things in some of these. The big thing here to note, yes, this rail yard looks great, but it's nothing new or crazy. And the scenery looks great, nothing new or crazy. But on the right-hand side, that is definitely a very classic, iconic, international branded school bus. International might be coming to the game. I don't know. This is just AI traffic, however. So the one thing I will say about this, and you can even see with the parked cars, is it looks like we're going to get a lot of different, more realistic AI traffic coming with the game, which is really cool to see. That is just awesome. But that bus looks like an international. Now, sure, maybe it's not, and I'm just, just talking out of my butt here, and I'm, nothing is going to come. But maybe that's a hint to international. Sometimes I like to kind of put little teasers and screenshots like this. But yeah, really cool. And you can see the lighting on the bus and everything of the headlights. It's just a really cool photo in general. Moving on, this next one is kind of exciting as well. If you remember these posts, and if I can find it, I'll put another with some more stuff happening. I don't know what this is outside of, this looks like a circus is setting up here. Like, honestly, not a clue what this could be outside of that. Let me know what your thoughts are down below, but it does look like there's been progress. So this looks like to maybe be a construction project of some kind on the map, which is pretty cool to see. Now, if we move past that, here we have this kind of a little kind of muggy stream. This is one of kind of the offspring, I can't talk. One of the streams that comes off of the river, off streams. There we go. Words are hard. I'm recording this after having worked for many, many hours today, so I'm very tired, but I wanted to get this out to you guys or get it ready for tomorrow for you guys. But yeah, really cool detail on it. The reflections off the water look really cool. You can see kind of some rocks in the water and the plant. Everything just looks way more realistic with this, so really cool to see that. We move on from there. Here we have ourselves a kind of a factory, it looks like, or a shop of some kind, and a tractor on there. If we zoom in really close, we can see that this is a Kubota tractor. I'll try to zoom in. It gets a little blurry, and then it says crossing point ropes. And then on the right-hand side, it says showing you the ropes since 1998, which I like. I don't know anything about this. This might be a real company. 1998 is a very specific year. And I think that there's no significance to that I can think of in terms of Farming Simulator. I could be wrong about that. But this does have a pallet on it, and it looks like kind of a pallet of something we haven't seen before, maybe of rope. And if we think back to the screenshot we just saw, which I'll put it back on here, this one here at the construction project, there's a lot of rope in that, so maybe we have to bring rope as an ingredient, so maybe rope is one of the new production items. It doesn't sound like a very exciting item per se, but that's probably why this is kind of being teased this early, because they have more exciting stuff to come in the future, but still cool nonetheless. Don't know for sure, that's just my guess. Next up here, we have an old kind of paper mill, and I think this is a paper mill. I'm pretty sure, but you can see kind of the wheel nut. Anyhow, the details are astounding on this thing, which it's just awesome. It looks great. If we move on from there, we'll come back to that paper mill later, but if we move on from there, we've kind of seen something similar to this before. It says making memories at Sunset Sunflower Farm. And then we have, if you zoom in really far, on the left-hand side of this kind of picture frame, well, actually, let's back it up even further. If you go to the very left side of this photo, you see the kind of silo or stone building of some kind with a big sunflower on it. You also see a big sunflower made with partially like an old hay bale there on the far left side. And then if we go into the picture frame, on the left side of the picture frame, we have kind of an old carriage. Maybe we can pull something with horses with that. Then if we look over a little bit further, we have a flower stand, and in the background, we have the farmer's market with the fillable stalls and the kind of interactive area like that. So that looks like to be where that's going to be located in the map. So it's cool to kind of get a little bit different perspective on that. So I like that. Moving on. Next up here, we also see that carriage, which means that carriage has moved. Given it could be a different carriage, don't get me wrong, but we see that carriage up on the upper right-hand side here. And this is a multi-tiered building, which just looks cool as can be. I don't know what they're building here. I honestly don't, but you can see some pallets inside. Um, I'm trying to look around and see anything. I've looked around this thing and I haven't seen anything very, very specific. You can't read what it says on there, but based on everything going on, I think this is maybe like a wagon factory, maybe like an old wagon factory or something like that. Who knows what it's being used for nowadays? But you can see the sign just above the wagon, but you can't read it. It says 1934 maybe, and it's just very hard to see. And maybe someone will be smarter than me and use AI to enhance it or something, but I can't tell what that is up there. But still a very cool photo, very cool old building. And then moving on. Here we have ourselves the water tower, which you can see how expansive the forest is in the background. And I don't know where the rest of the map is compared to this, but yeah, I don't know how much of that is decorative or whatnot, but you can see it renders all of that in very well, which is pretty cool to see some of the performance there. But really nice American water tower there, really like that. And then next we have kind of the PDA, which we've seen this already. There's nothing crazy new here. I don't know where in the world that water tower is going to be, but this map, yes, it is standard. It's not a 4X map or anything like that. We are guessing that 4X maps will be possible on console next time around, but Giants isn't going to make them. But modders can make them, which is pretty cool. So yeah, if you guys want to look more at the PDA, you can pause it and look at it. I see kind of a cargo center down in the river at one point, and then I see kind of some areas where maybe there's a ferry crossing or other boat stuff going on, but not sure past that, everything going on here. We don't have anything else or any more information at this time, but still cool to see. Moving on from there, here is our, oh gosh, is this a spinach? Yep, here's the spinach here. And we do see that water tower off in the background, so this is kind of the opposite view. This is us looking at the water tower. The other view was of this field from the water tower, if you remember back to that. But just cool to see the spinach. Nothing special there outside of that. Next up here, we have ourselves a barge going by. And here is a big thing. And here's a thing that I think a lot of people are going to overlook. People are going to focus on the ferry. Yes, we know the ferry is going to exist, and we know we can shuttle vehicles across because we know that they just told us. So we know that can happen. But obviously in this photo, you can't shuttle the ferry through that barge. You just can't do it. It's not how it's going to work. So what does that mean? The barges, at a minimum, will move around the map. We've seen that before. At a minimum, they'll do that. But I think there's more happening here. That looks like a big grain or bulk tank on that. I think it's going to be a train system similar to what we've seen in Farming Simulator 22, but it's going to be with a boat instead, and you can drive the boat. It might be on a specific track, but it'll still be cool that we can drive the boat. I think that's what's going to happen. I could be wrong, but I think that's my prediction here on that. Next up, here we have a girl standing in a rice field here with the sun kind of setting. Huge rice field. And if this is on the American map, this is a huge area here, but it just looks cool, and they're just showing off the water in the flooded field there. And you can tell that her boots are kind of down in the water a little bit, and yeah, pretty cool. Moving on from there, here's kind of a big deal here. So on the right-hand side, this is, well, at face value, this is a production building, or it looks like a production building, kind of an old one. I think this is the other side of the other brick building that we saw earlier next to the stream. And you can see, yes, there's a working water mill on it. It looks very cool, but there's a ton of signage and stuff going on here. There's a ton of different things kind of happening. So first up, on the right-hand side, up over on the top, it says Quill & Co. Paperworks, which gives me the idea that it is a paper factory. Then below that, we see a crate, which looks like they're maybe producing something. But then if we look over on the left-hand side, it says making paper out of wood right in front of the car on that sign. It says forestry, and then I can't read all of it, but there's wood chips at the top there, and then there's a couple other things, and then you have like the paper roll at the end. So this, I'm guessing, is a paper factory of some kind. That's part of the process, which is what we're seeing right there, which is really cool to see. But yeah, we don't know yet. I'm assuming we can use it. There's steam coming out of the top or smoke coming out of the top of it, so it looks like it's completely functioning. So I'm assuming we're going to be able to use this as a paper factory or some other factory of some kind. But very cool. And then moving on from there, we have some more stuff too. So we have another look at the animal dealer. We've seen this before. It's cool to see that there's lights on in some of the buildings at night, and the lighting just looks pretty cool in general. So I think that's kind of what it's showing off there. Moving on from there, here we have our John Deere pulling a load of something, which to me, I'm going to say is, I don't know what it's going to be. It looks like some sort of rock material, but the John Deere itself is nothing new. I think we've had that before. It's a 3650. Maybe it's a new tractor, but we've had similar John Deeres. Nothing too exciting. And then we have a Farm Tech trailer. We've had those before. Nothing too exciting. But the big thing here is the kind of production point or facility looking behind it. It says Morrison Cement. So cement is a new production, maybe, as a new material. I don't know. Could be wrong. Could be right. Who knows? That's what I think they're trying to show off here, is that there's a cement building in the background, which is pretty cool to see. But outside of that, that is all of the new kind of screenshots that came with this. Those are all the new different screenshots. Some pretty cool stuff that we saw in here. I don't know what all of it's going to mean, but those are kind of my guesses with everything. If you guys enjoyed this video, please drop a like down below. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button up on the screen to join the Farmer Cop channel, and turn on your notification bell so you don't miss any future videos I may post. This has been Farmer Cop. Thank you guys for coming and watching. I will see you guys on the next one.